these files into a knife. Get around to the other one at some point in time in the future. But yeah, I figured I would take this and forge out a Hidden Tang hunting / Bowie style knife. I'm gonna leave as much of the file teeth on the flats of the knife, just to be a reminder that it did come from a file. This is an old Nichols file, so I'm sorry, Nicholson. So we're gonna go ahead and get everything hot, get started, and turn this into a knife. All right, so I'm gonna start on the point. One thing you're gonna do, if you decide to make a knife out of a file, find some way to knock the sharp part of the teeth off along the spine, the flats, the edges, because all those teeth could promote cold cuts and cracking during the forging and the heat treat. I didn't want to take them out, but I did just kind of knock them flat. You can still see the lines in the file where the teeth were, but it's actually really smooth to the touch. Just kind of knocking these corners back into themselves so we don't get the fish lips. So, just about got the point in. Kind of keeping the upset in check as I form that point. Still working on my point here. Everything's still kind of cold, so I'm losing heat pretty quickly. Use the horn here a little bit. So start, finish up work on this point. Alright, so with that, I'm going to figure out how long I want the blade to be, isolate the tang. Alright, so that's I think it's going to go for about 8 inches, which is right around where the dark line starts. So I'm just going to kind of Give me a set down right there. And I'm going to use my my guillotine tool to isolate the tang. Alright, find my mark. And make sure it's kind of even. Don't want to get too crazy too fast. It's going to leave for a lot of material for tang. Alright, so this is the third, probably the last time I used a guillotine tool. The third and final heat, I should say, using this tool. We got our isolation. Now we're going to start beating this down to a tang. This is going to take a while. It's going to be a bit laborious. Is that the right word? I'm going to go faster. After I get away from this area, so I'm taking care not to hit that and mess it up. Alright, so getting this isolated in the rear now. And I'm almost across the anvil. By the time I taper everything, get all the upsets out of it, I think I have more than enough tang here. Then I might take this back piece here and turn that into a little fire striker. Alright, so since I decided to make this second half a fire strike, I just took a few heats. Move that file tang up to one side of the work. Now I'm going to cut it off. See if I can get it in one heat. Probably not. Now just being careful, take a bucket of water right there. And Murphy's Law says if I cut it clean off, it's going to fall right into the bucket of water and probably crack this. So I just set this aside, work on that a little bit after I get this clean done. Alright, back into action. This tang drawing out. Alright, so this is drawing the tang out. Not a lot to see here. I'm just going to be alternating from hitting it on the edge to hitting it on the flat. until I get the taper and the thickness that I want. So after I kind of hammer through all that, we'll bring it back and start putting some bevels in it. Alright, so before we get on to the bevels, I'll do a little bit more point shaping. Take another heat. Just trying to make, I want a nice long pointy point. Alright, so on this flat section, I'm going to just a little bit of pre-curve. I don't want to get too crazy. I always seem to guess and get that wrong anyway. So next we're going to start putting some bevels in. There is going to be ricasso, probably about 3/4 of an inch to an inch. Then the blade will start, and then we'll run that up to the point. Alright, so it's coming in about right here. Yeah, getting this started is kind of challenging. Okay. Really almost just kind of grabbing it and pinching it down. Stop right there. Well, actually, not. I'm going to take one more heat because it's not exactly in the center. Alrighty, so I got it started. I'm just going to come here on the edge of the anvil. Just kind of redefine that. I'm starting to get a bow already, so come up here in the thicker part, kind of take that out a little bit. Right now I'm just kind of setting up the bevel, finding center, and I think I found it. And it's going to be the end of the ricasso where the blade starts. Now we're just going to start going up the blade and hopefully not banana this thing. Alright, I'll start down on the edge here. Then we'll work our way up the blade, up the bevel, towards the spine. So I'm already starting to get a curve in that back, so I'm going to adjust that now. Alright, we'll do the old whack the anvil trick. Which actually works pretty good. I'm still in there a little bit. Not opposed to some curving. I just can't let it get out of control. You know, these curves you get when
when you're forging, it's just something you can't get when you do stock removal. You know, you hit the metal here, it wants to kind of go somewhere else. You know, every force has an equal and opposite force, so that kind of presents a bunch of natural curves that are appealing to the eye, but you just can't get if you do stock removal. I guess I should rephrase my last statement. You can make a curvy knife with stock removal. You just have to use a bigger piece of stock, which usually translates into wasted material. Alright, so I had a little bit of company, so I took a couple heats without you. We are still just putting in bells. Yeah, this has been a challenge. She wants the banana. No big deal. We'll just work with it all the way out to the end. Alright, so I want a low point. In relationship to the bevel, so I kind of want the point kind of center line with the tang, and that just makes it a better pokey. Okay, back to the bevel rules. My smaller dog nose here. Coming around this belly. I am frequently hitting the anvil. Seems to be getting in there a bit better. Alright, so I'm kind of getting that little curve in there up at the tip. Actually kind of putting my point a little bit higher than I want it. So I'll probably just start to forge in some false edges up on the top, push that back down. Alright. I'm going to forge on the top here. You can see how that pushes that back down. Let me go back to my other hammer. Alright, instead of doing that, now I gotta fix the point again. Alright, let's get in here. Take another heat. Don't mind the curve, I just want the point lower. So before everything gets too thin, I can't move it. I'll move it now. That side looks good. This side not so much. I usually grind in the false edge on the top. But this one here, this tip just wants to keep going up and up and up and up. So, I'm going to forge it in. And I'm not going to forge it really close, just kind of getting it started. Alright, so I'm back up here. Just trying to get everything back straight. Probably the last pass on this false edge. There is a line that I'm trying to follow. probably see it better on this side. There's a line right here going up to the point, so that's kind of what I'm forging in, kind of going back and forth. But now I think I'm going to just go ahead and finish the bevel off and just let it go where it wants to. Alright, so now I'm going to get the lumps out of the bevel. And I'm going to forge hopefully not too thin, but this hammer seems to be putting a good finish on it. All right, so I'm just going to kind of come down one side. I'm working on the very edge here. Some darker heats, just tapping, plenishing, smoothing, no heavy hitting. I'm pretty much just letting the hammer bounce off the anvil, its own weight. Really trying not to hit that plunge. All right, now I'm going to come down the other side. Thing is. Again, dark heat, pretty much bouncing the weight of the hammer. All I'm doing here. And now my tongs are twisting for some weird reason. We got some twist up here. So we got a little bit of straightening to do. Take one more heat. All right, again, I'm in darker heats. I'm really just doing a lot of straightening at this point. And it's coming around. This is that part in the video where it looks like I'm doing the same thing over and over, so I think I'm just going to go ahead and bring you back when I have everything straightened out. Like right now, I got like a twist in the cutting edge. starting here, it's coming over to here, and back over here. So I got to get all that in center, and it's just going to look like I'm doing the same thing over and over. So I will bring you back when that part is done. All right, so I think I got the forging done. Now I'm just straightening her out in the vise here. I'm going to start by straightening the spine, making sure everything, excuse me, is straight. And then I'm going to flip it and look at the edge, make sure that that's straight. I can already see the tips a little off up here. Use this little punch here to get in there and tweak it. Alright, now just the bevel. I'm just catching the edge of the bevel. I don't want to get my plunge line squeezed in there. What that's going to do, these plates are going to go like this. Hopefully bring all that straight. Again, like I said, and not get on the plunge line. And that's what it did. Right. There. Jeez. I just sat there and said not get on the plunge line. What do? Clamp it down on the plunge line. That's how we do that. And that pretty much for the most part just kind of straightens that edge out. I know you really can't see it too well. So now I'm going to reheat the whole thing. I'm going to stick it in upside down, and then I'm just going to look down the whole length of the blade, see if the edge is pretty much in the center. Alright, making sure everything is straight and center. It actually does two things for you. Now I'm just up on the flat. One thing, it cuts down on a lot of time on the grinder. And the second thing it does is it allows you to stay as close to the forged shape as you can, because there's no sense in doing all this forging, pitter-pattering, tippity tapping, if you're just going to put it on a grinder and grind a bunch of stock off, and it looks nothing like what you hammered out. So, one thing that I like to do when I consider a knife build successful, when after the forging and it's all said and done, you can still see the shape that it was hammered to, even after it's profiled on the grinder. So, I mean, obviously there's times where you make mistakes, and you just have to completely, drastically change the entire way, the entire look of the knife. And you can still get nice knives that way, but those really aren't successful projects. You get a nice knife, a functional knife, but if it doesn't look, this is my opinion, if it doesn't look like the way you hammered it after you profile it on the grinder, then you should have just did a stock and moved the knife. But having said all that, yeah, I think I got it pretty close to where we're going to be. Another thing about these straightening cycles is you can almost count them as normalization cycles, because you're really not moving the metal that much. Now you are getting some rapid heat reduction sticking it between these two pieces of angle iron. They act like a heat sink, but I don't think it's anything that cause any kind of detriment as far as molecules in the metal. So, all right, so I'm pretty much gonna do some normalization cycles. Hesitant to go back to the hammer because I think I got everything pretty close to where I want it. So let me just do a couple normalization cycles. I might do a little pitter patter on the edge here to knock out a couple lumps, but that can be dressed up really quickly on the belt sander. Yeah, I mean, this is actually a pretty close forging, so I don't know if I'm going to go back to hammer. Let me do a couple normalization cycles, and then we're going to get some close-ups before I profile it. All right, this is what we have left after doing the profile, grinding in the bevels, and I did go ahead and do a 120 grit hand sand finish on the bevels and the false edge. The flats and the spine, it's all just a natural file. I've already started to do a little bit of tang work, but yeah, this thing is far from ready from heat treat. I have to do a whole bunch of work here at the Ricasso and on the tang to get this thing to accept a hand guard and a handle and all that good stuff. But as far as this video goes, we're going to go ahead and shut it down. This is exactly what we started off with. I have two of these. This one's probably going to, I think I'm just going to go ahead and make a big blacksmith's knife out of the second one. That'll probably be another video, but as far as this video goes, we're going to shut it down right here. So I'll get some close-up pictures, kind of show you the grind lines, everything wound up being, how close it's actually pretty close to what I hammered out. I lost a little bit of thickness. I got a little thin on the edge, but it happens. You got to grind back, because if you don't, it'll warp and heat treat. So, but I think I got something that will survive heat treat and look halfway decent. And yeah, quick little fun project. Yeah, if you want to make a knife, these files are good metal. As far as the proportioning, they're about halfway to a knife already. So yeah, give it a try. So I'm gonna go ahead and shut this down. Remember, I probably won't do any more videos on this, but you can track progress on this. I'll probably post pictures to my Instagram. You know, if you want to follow the build and just kind of keep up with you know, how the progress of this knife is going. And also, when it's all said and done, this will wind up on my Etsy store. So check that out as well. And yep, you just might see this pop up there, and you have an opportunity to own this thing. So I'm going to go ahead and let you go, and just remember to like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you happen to be at my Etsy store, drop me a message just to let me know you were there. Even if you're just looking, you know, any bit of encouragement helps. But and if you're on Instagram, yeah, you can drop me a message there too. So it's always nice to hear a little bit of feedback. I get comments on YouTube, and I try to keep up with those the best I can. But yeah, it's also kind of interesting to see who actually goes and visits the store. So I'm going to go ahead and let you all go, and you guys have a good one, and we'll catch you on the next one.